Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of laws of exponents. This is standard A.11B in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 31 of the 2016 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we've got a circle with very strange radius, 6 times x to the 9th times y to the 5th centimeters. And the area of a circle, we've been doing this for several years now, but we kind of drop it off in Algebra 1. So they give it to us, a equals pi r squared. That's the area of a circle formula. And so what is the area of the circle in square centimeters? Okay, so it seems pretty simple, right? So a equals pi r squared. This is the radius. The radius equals 6 x to the 9th, y to the 5th. Okay, so I'm simply going to substitute in this right here. So pi, and then I've got this 6 x to the 9th, y to the 5th squared. Right, so I just substituted this r in for that r squared. But this gets us into the laws of exponents. So we need to keep this one in mind. Power of a power. If you're not sure what happens when you take the power of a power or you have an exponent outside of another exponent, this is actually on your mathematics chart or your reference materials. So if you see something like this, okay, so a to the m power, and then you take that whole expression and you take that to the n power, that's the power of a power. It's the same as a and then m to the times n. So you could just end up multiplying those two exponents. Okay? So what we're going to do here is we are going to break this down, and let's just distribute this out. Okay? So I've got 3 different bases here, okay, and I'm going to square each of those. So I'm going to take my 6, and then I'm going to square it, which that's going to turn into 36. That's pretty easy, right? And then take a look at this. I've only got 2 options that have 36. The other 2 are 12. Obviously 12 is 6 times 2, not 6 squared, but that's helpful because that immediately gets rid of 2 incorrect answers here. Now, I'm going to take my x to the 9th, then I'm going to square that. Then I'm going to take my y to the 5th, and I'm going to square that. Okay? So what I did is I just factored this squared into each of these 3 terms. Okay? You can only deal with different bases on an individual basis, right? So my number 6, my base of x, my base of y, I need to deal with each of those individually. Okay? So this is going to be, well, it's going to be pi 36, but it's always better to put the coefficient first. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 36 pi. We're not dealing with the pi, we're just leaving it right there. So that's both of those 2 answer selections right there. So really, here's my question. What do I do with those 2 right there? X to the 9th, which is itself squared. We'll see what we did here. When you have a power to a power, you end up multiplying those 2. So it's going to end up being x 9 times 2. And then same thing here with y. Y 5 times 2. That power of a power ends up multiplying those 2, which that's going to get us 36 times pi x to the, it's going to be big, but that's fine, x to the 18th, y to the 10th. Okay? Look what they did here on C. Right? How did they get that y to the 11th? And y to the 7th and x to the 11th, they just ended up adding those 2. Okay, so they just applied the wrong thing. And that's what happens when you multiply power. You have product of powers, right? If you have a times n, a to the n to the a to the m, that's when you add those 2, but not when you take the power of a power. So that's incorrect. Our answer here is B.